Hello, everyone. Welcome to Good Humans with Wow. We are happy to have everyone here tonight. As always, my name is Dane. I am a longtime friend of Sara and Jake, a fellow artist, and obviously co-host of tonight's show. This evening, we have the huge pleasure to be able to have two guests joining us. Our first guest is Spike Mendelsohn. He is a Washington, D.C.-based celebrity chef, restaurateur, food advocate, podcast host, brand consultant, and now NFT creator. He is the chef and owner of multiple restaurants across the U.S. Spike made his debut on Bravo TV's Top Chef, and he also holds the position as the first chairman of DC's Food Policy Council. And to this day, he continues to work to make a positive impact on the food system. Joining Spike is Tom Colicchio. He is an American celebrity chef, producer, author, podcaster, and restaurateur. He is the founder of Crafted Hospitalities, which is a collection of landmark restaurants across the country, and is the recipient of 5 James Beard Foundation Awards for cooking accomplishments. He's been involved with Bravo TV's Top Chef since its beginning in 2006, where he served as head judge and later won an Emmy Award in 2010 as an executive producer of the show. Colecchio also serves on the board of 2 hunger relief organizations and is the only person so far on Good Humans with Wow to have been Simpsonized, which is a pretty cool accomplishment. And now they are entering the world of Web 3.0 with the Cheffy Pizza NFT collection, which is 8,888 unique pieces, and they plan on building the largest chef and foodie community in NFTs. I am seriously so happy to welcome these 2 good humans to the show, and without further ado, I am going to hand it off to Jake and Sara.
Spike, Tom!
Hello, guys. We are so ecstatic to have you on tonight. Thank you for taking the time.
Woo-hoo.
What's up, everybody? Nom nom.
Nom nom.
Can we first just start off by saying 2 things? Leave some accolades for the rest of us. You guys are ridiculous. Yeah. That could have went on for an hour. And number 2, the profile picture changes look beautiful.
Yes.
Aren't they sweet? Look at those. Spike, you've never looked better.
Very, very handsome. Definitely.
Very fitting, you guys. You look just like you.
That's so funny. Yeah. Well, guys, we are so freaking excited. You guys are such good humans and doing such awesome things in the space, and we're so happy you're here. But let's kick into it because you guys have so much value to deliver to the room. So I'll let Sara kick it off with our first set of questions, if that's cool.
Sure. Yeah, for sure. I mean, first of all, I just have to say, what opening song. We have to work on our song.
I know.
Honestly, that is like my pump up song. Like at the hospital when I'm working, I put that in my ears and I'm ready to go for the day.
I mean, so Spike, that one day that I kind of finger picked some guitar, that didn't cut it, huh?
No.
I was there for that space. That was an excellent serenade.
Yeah, it's just not going to do it though. It doesn't get the room going like this.
Well, I will say for everybody listening, that song was by Marion Hill. She's an absolutely incredible artist, and the song was called "Got It."
Cool.
But guys, I am so curious to learn more about y'all. I mean, I know a lot about y'all, but I'm interested to see more about you guys in this NFT and this Web 3.0 space.
Yeah.
So with that being said, I'd love to hear a little bit more about how you guys got involved in NFTs and in Web 3.0.
Sure. Tom, you want to kick it off?
No, go ahead.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Well, for me, I mean, Sparky was really, it came from an honest place of curiosity, to be frank with you. For me, it started, about over a year ago. And I just started collecting. I started to learn the mechanics of a MetaMask, what OpenSea was, the marketplace, and it's a lot to take in all at once when you're so new to it. But I started just buying things that were appealing. Like honestly, my first NFT that I bought was a dino with a chef hat. It sounds ridiculous, but it was a dinosaur with a chef hat, and then I started getting attracted to like some artists like Gangland that were really cool, pictures that I thought were amazing. And then I kind of took the summer off because it was a little overwhelming, and I was busy opening a restaurant. But then I started picking it back up, a few months ago, and actually, one of Women and Weapons were some of my first real NFTs. When I say real, it's just like I started learning a lot more about community and utility in NFTs, and that's when I started looking at roadmaps and projects and what they were all about. And then the light bulb started going off that this is a space that I really enjoy and I want to learn more about. So it was just a curiosity and then a little bit of evolution really for me. So
yeah,
awesome.
Yeah, I think for me, I kind of missed the early crypto boat. I had some friends who were in very early on. I mean, when back when Bitcoin was at like 400, and I was just kind of like, I have no idea what you guys are talking about, and I'm not that tech savvy. And so I was just like, yeah, just let it go. And then obviously, when the pandemic hit, all my restaurants were closed and I had a little time on my hands and started like looking at it. And then very soon, I don't know, for some reason, I couldn't listen to the regular news during the pandemic. So I started listening to financial news. And there was a lot of focus on NFTs and what they were. And obviously, Beeple Piece got a ton of press. And I started spending a little more time trying to figure it out. And then I actually called a few friends of mine who I thought maybe would have been, known a little bit about the space. And, I just couldn't figure it out and just kind of was fine just to kind of look at it. And I would go on OpenSeas and look at all the stuff. But had no idea how to set up a MetaMask or anything like that. So I was like, all right, whatever. And then Spike, I think I was following him on Twitter and I saw him make a few mentions. Then he called me out of the blue and said, hey, I'm working on this project. What do you think? And I said, yeah, let's do it. Love it. I was looking for a way to get in. So that was it. So I went from being NFT curious to, being a creator pretty quickly. My first piece was WAW, the piece that you see in my avatar right there.
Yes. That's so exciting.
Oh my God,
good
so
entry.
Cool. Yeah, followed very soon by Fungi Queendom.
Oh, nice.
And so that was it. And then I kind of, went down the rabbit hole but there's a certain part of me that figured like, all right, I could take all this, sort of assets that I have in Ethereum and I could just move them over and buy NFTs, right? And buy projects that I like and people that I want to support. And it's doing the same thing, right?
Yes.
So it doesn't matter. So
that's a great way to think about it.
And for me, it was a better way just to sort of move that but also support, put it places where it actually was helping to support projects. And because I wasn't sort of enamored with the whole, in terms of flipping it and trying to make money, I didn't really care about that. So very early on, I figured I kind of learned that it's really about communities. And then once I started getting on Discord and started following stuff, it was like, all right, this makes perfect sense. So that was it for me. And it's been fun. I mean, I have to say it is taking a little too much of my time right now. But
it does.
So be it.
That's funny. Yeah, I think you both nailed it. I mean, curiosity. I mean, I'm so thankful and glad it has changed Sara and I's life forever, just being curious about NFTs. Mm-hmm. And I think you guys just nailed it. I'm just so thankful that all of us in this room were curious enough to look into it and dive in. And I'm so happy that we've met so many wonderful people along the way.
Made the community.
Yeah. But kind of what you were saying, Tom, that goes into our next point. I want to know, what is more challenging, being a chef, restaurateur, or building an NFT from scratch?
You know what? We actually talked about this on our spaces today. It's very similar because when you think about it, when you open a restaurant, what you're doing is creating community. Right. Yes, you're putting food out there and you're sourcing wine and you got to take care of your staff. And you have to manage all those pieces. Yeah. But ultimately, what are you doing? You're building a community of people who like your restaurant, and then you are in a way offering them utility, because once you become a regular in a restaurant, all of a sudden little things going to happen for you, right? So that becomes the utility, and so it's very similar. The big difference is I've been working in restaurants my entire life. So when I open a restaurant, I kind of know what I'm doing. Where here we're stumbling around in the dark. And for the longest time, I would just go into spaces and just kind of be very quiet and just listen. And what's really cool about the space, this it is different than the restaurant community, is how helpful everybody is. These spaces are really safe. You feel welcome. You don't feel dumb if you ask a question that you should know. And everyone's really helpful, and it's nice. And it's also really interesting that all this is happening on Twitter, because Twitter often is such a black hole of despair. And the NFT Twitter space is actually really cool. So,
this is my only adventure into Twitterland, really. And so I think this almost totally backwards impression of Twitter. Like, I'm like, what do you mean? Everyone's great. They're answering questions. Everyone's giving me thumbs up.
It's very welcoming.
Totally. I mean, Tom brings up a great point. I mean, like before I, at least for me, I entered into the space, you know, my news feed was just all politics. I'm in DC, you know.
I believe that.
It was 100% pretty depressing. And I didn't realize how much it actually mellow person, you know, at heart. So, but I didn't realize how much stress it actually brought into my life. And then this quick shift to using this platform to talk about NFTs and meet other people, and like Tom said, this community is just the nicest community ever, really. You know, like you never feel awkward participating, but it moves really fast. The other thing about this community, it moves really fast. But you know, I'm opening a restaurant right now at the same time of launching this pizza project.
Wow. Oh my gosh!
You know,
I can't imagine.
I'm in New York right now launching Plant Burger, where we open in a few
Plant
days.
Burger,
Plant Burger, yeah, Plant Burger. For all those vegans out there, or if you're not a vegan, just come. It's a delicious burger for everyone.
If you're vegan curious,
Jake,
I'm all for it. I love a good veggie burger.
Yeah. But, you know, I can't help, you know, like both projects are my everyday now. So there's so many, like Tom said, there's so many similarities, but there's these vast differences. But what I find very intriguing and how those both worlds collide. And I mean, obviously, that's what we're here to speak about. Like, it's very interesting on how we're going to be able to pull these industries together to do better. So, yeah.
No, that's a good point. And that honestly, that brings me to the question I was kind of thinking of is, because there, you know, you said there are some similarities. I know they're vastly different, but they also have, you know, the core similarities you guys were talking about. Like, how did Cheffy Pizza come about? You know, was it a brainchild of one of y'all's? Did you guys meet and talk about this for a long time? Because it seems like you guys really just got involved in the NFT space. So just maybe the backstory on where that came and how it came to be.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you know, I think Cheffy, I'm very heavy on brand guy. I mean, a lot of the work I've done in the restaurant industry, we're very heavy on brand and building communities, and something I love to do. And when I was entering the space, you know, I just saw, you know, the early adopters, the artists, the musicians, and, you know, getting in it. And, you know, we're culinary artists. So in a way, I was just racking my brain. I was like, okay, how do we enter this space? I know this can be part of what we do. And it was very interesting. I was very intrigued by it, you know? And so that really was the honest place. And then Cheffy was just kind of a name that came out of anywhere. You know, it's a play off NFT, Cheffy. I thought it was kind of cute. It was kind of powerful. Sometimes, you know,
I like it.
It's silly words and, you know, can mean a lot and represent a lot. And I thought it was something that was really, really powerful. And that's kind of when I approached Tom. You know, we were talking all sorts of stuff on how we could enter the space. Is it a chef doodle? Because chefs, you know, draw their dishes up before they actually create them and plate them. So I thought, that's a kind of a cool sneak peek of what you wouldn't really see. You know, you never see a chef doodle before unless a chef put it out there in the world. So it started from like small things about how to mint recipes, but then it quickly developed into this idea of we can be the first ever in the space as chefs to kind of bring this marketplace of discussion of food, this community based around food. And again, pizza is something that everybody can kind of get behind. So that's kind of why we lean into pizza. Everyone could kind of have a conversation about pizza. There's all sorts of different stuff. So we thought
for sure.
Yeah. So we thought that'd be a great platform to bring people together. We met these developer teams from Hot Cafe that, you know, told us they can really create these epic, hip-looking, you know, art pieces that we fell in love with, right? You can see Cheffy pizzas down there, you know, with the pepperoni. And then the idea of driving utility behind our project, right? Why are people going to want to join our community and be part of it? And the real thing for us, and Tom and I kind of had all these big ideas, but we always rely on, like, we want to start a conversation of NFTs and food and bev and Web3. And we want to be that home where chefs, foodies, or restaurateurs could come and, you know, shout out their ideas and share, and as well as, you know, launch these projects and have fun with them. So that's kind of was the genesis of it. So
yeah, and I would say also, you know, we had been working on it together for about 5 months before we started announcing it or talking about it publicly. And Spike was probably working on it before that. So it's been, listen, and it doesn't sound like a long time, but I think in NFT world, it's pretty quick. And quite frankly, exactly. Like we were going to mint. We had talked about minting a couple months ago, and then we realized that everything was changing so quickly, and that we wanted to take a step back and really spend time on the roadmap and figure out, better utility to offer. So we pulled back, way back, and you know, tried to reevaluate what we were doing. And we're not in a rush. We want to make sure we get it right, and you know.
And you guys are thoughtful. I mean, it's evident in your history and the work that you've done, but you guys are thoughtful, and I appreciate that you guys.
And
a huge piece.
I also have to say, the spaces that you guys have been having on Twitter and some other people that are in this space right now, like, those were so valuable for us. And that's really, you know, there's some bad advice out there, right? There's some bad advice. And the question when I first got in the space was like, you got to rush. There's a time limit on this. Like, this is going to go away. And, you know, we were rushing to the finish line here. And then I think it might have been in one of your Twitter spaces. I think that, you know, someone had said that there's time. We're so early, you know, figure your things out. Don't rush into the project. Don't make these mistakes. You know, we don't want to come off looking like we're a money grab, for instance, or some type of a scheme. We really want to build this honest community. So that, you know, that's kind of why we're doing the things we're doing.
Yeah. And I love that. And I mean, if you really think about it, you two both have just such an amazing reputation, right? And I love that you're being thoughtful about it and putting your name behind the project, and you guys have done everything right, and it's no secret that we're huge fans over here at Women in Weapons of both of you and the project that you're building. But my next question is, and you kind of hinted on it, is we think people are sleeping on the possibilities of utility that you guys can provide. So I'd love, you know, I know you have a ton of ideas, but, you know, near term, short term, long term, tell us kind of some thoughts you have on what kind of utility you are going to be bringing to Cheffy Pizza.
Yeah, I mean, some of the sort of low hanging fruit would be cooking classes, video based or even on Discord for our holders. Easy other low hanging fruit are kitchen tours and things like that. Eventually working into possibly doing events with other food festivals where there'll be Cheffy events as part of the festival. I don't think we do a full on Cheffy festival just yet. So there's stuff like that. Maybe working with really, cool kitchen appliance manufacturers to create discounts and things like that. So yeah, I mean, there's a bunch of stuff that we can do. I mean, obviously, building the community is so important. Not only the community of people who are going to interact, but also the community of chefs that we could bring on board that can help create that utility as well. Because there's a limit to what Spike and I can do. We need to bring other people on as well. But again, we're trying to create the whole ecosystem of number one. There's so much going on in our world right now, especially with COVID. Restaurants are really struggling, and so creating a place where we can all exchange ideas and openly in with the public and show how kind of help each other out. Also work on best practices. Right now, it's very difficult to get staff, so a place where we can have these discussions. If you look at our Discord, there's a lot of different channels in there right now. Plus fun stuff. Spike and I judged the first pizza contest the other day.
I saw that.
Yeah,
that was great.
So listen, we're just going to keep plugging away and trying to figure out what we can offer. And I think we have to remain flexible and just keep drop in the additional utility as we go. And it's like, I think it's one of these things where I always say with a restaurant, the worst night a restaurant's going to have or should have is the day you open.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
Everybody thinks the opposite. Everybody thinks, oh my God, run out to this new restaurant. It's going to be great. No, that's the worst it's going to be. We're trying to figure it out. And every single day you sit down and have a meeting and say, okay, what can we change? How can we make things better? All right. And that's the same thing we're going to do here. We're going to assess as we go, and we're going to make changes that we need to make. We're going to offer something great to start, but I guarantee you it's only going to get better.
Yeah. And I'd love to add a little bit about that, because even today off of the afternoon session, that Twitter space that we had, I learned something that really kind of resonated with me. And I feel like the that I took was don't sleep on the utility of community, right? And I know that's not word, I guess maybe to people, like there's not something tangible about that. But Tom said it. Like if you go into the Cheffy Discord right now, we did a collaboration with Ethereum Towers. We threw the first ever Top Cheffy pizza competition. We had families literally prepping up their doughs, getting their ingredients, sending their pictures, submitting their stuff, and it went on.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it went on for like 3, 4, 5 days, and like I just sat back and was like looking at the Discord. I had a huge grin on my face. I was like, man, this is absolutely amazing. People are sharing their pizzas. They're into this competition.
Yes.
It's coming from their soul. They're getting their children involved, right? So bringing them into the space. And then the other thing is, like, if you go in the Discord, we have like a show your food, or the great pineapple debate, and people are a jazz of a time there, just kind of showing not pizzas, like anything that they're really eating. So there's really like a foodie community happening there. So don't sleep on the utility of community, which leads me to one of the utilities that we do offer, that we are going to create, which is a Cheffy DAO, right? We want to also democratize the process of utility, right? We want to let the holders decide on what they find is something of utility. So we're excited about announcing that shortly as well. And Tom said it. Master classes I think are going to be epic, and then these one-of-ones. We're spending a tremendous amount of time as a team onboarding chefs that were maybe not really into NFTs or kind of curious like I was, and they want to get into it. So we have a locked up supply that we hope to do giveaways and one-on-ones of chefs that can, maybe a chef is we're flying a chef to you to cook a meal, or maybe you're flying to the restaurant. But I think you said it right at the beginning. It's endless in our business on how we can provide utility. For us, it's about trying to limit ourselves first and put the first roadmap out there that makes sense to people, that they can really understand on what we're doing. And then we want to build upon that, Tom has dreams about dining in the metaverse with his restaurants, right? And so do I. I have dreams of a decentralized reservation global platform where it's governed by its community, and you're getting recs by the foodies that are part of it. There's all sorts of stuff we can do there. I mean, also I want to mention the exclusive access that you'll get to the future of the Cheffy brand. Cheffy Pizzas is literally just the beginning for us. So
I love it. Sara says all the time that we're kind of building the plane while we're flying it right now in this space. And that's the space in the aggregate. But you two specifically in this, food and bev integration into the space are definitely building the plane while you're flying it. And we're so excited to see what you come up with. I will say this much. That whole host of things sounds amazing. But me personally, I pay like $100 or $200 a year for that master class. And I am a terrible chef, but I love trying to prepare some of those like master classes and take those classes. I would love a Tom and Spike master class of some sort to help me cook something up nice for Sara.
Honestly, that alone got me super excited just hearing that. And I have to throw this in there real quick. My mom was actually a director of dining and did a lot of the catering and everything for a university nearby. And so I pretty much grew up at that university while she was doing that job. And I've gotten to see some of those kitchens on the back end. And might I just say, mad respect to y'all and what you do, because that is a lot of work. And it seems like, I don't know how you juggle everything. It absolutely blows my mind. And so I think what you guys are going to be able to bring to the culinary world is going to be so much. And it's great that you're offering this to so many chefs. And one thing that I wanted to throw out there, I was in a spaces with you guys, I want to say like 2 or 3 weeks ago, and it was with the Big Green Dow and Kimball Musk. So I would love to hear a little bit more about y'all's involvement with the Big Green Dow as well as Kimball Musk.
Yeah, sure. So Kimball and I are friends. I met him. So, years back, I co-founded an organization called Food Policy Action. And it came from my wife is a filmmaker, and she made a film called A Place at the Table that was focused on hunger in America.
Yeah.
And one of the talking heads in the film, he and I got together and started Food Policy Action. And what we did, not to get political, but it was a political organization. And what we did is we published a scorecard. So we graded Congress on how they voted around food, laws around food, whether it was hunger or farming or fishing. And so I did that for about 5 years and got very involved in food policy and that brings you to a lot of conferences and things like that. And that's where I met Kimball. Kimball, worked with his brother, and then when decided he wanted to be a chef, and he went to culinary school, but didn't want to be a day-to-day chef, and he started working building community gardens for schools, and was doing that for a while, and then decided that I guess he started looking at the NFT space, and decided that he just wanted to create a DAO that was there simply to give away grants to organizations that were in the food justice space. Okay. And so what he did is he funded it himself. He put $1 million of his own money into it, plus had some other investors. And the way it works is all the investors have one vote. And as they start giving out grants, the grant also comes to the vote on the DAO. So eventually the DAO will be run, even though it's one vote, it will be people who are in the space. So as opposed to a bunch of people sitting around a table that are directors, it's going to the grant money will be directed by the people who really know where it should go.
Not the people who are taken out of it.
Right. And so what happened was I was listening to his Twitter spaces and just had this idea that we should team up with him. I gave him a phone call and he said, yeah, it's not, I need more than that. What I want to do is embed you right into our smart contract. This way, from the initial minting plus all the secondary market, money's just going to go to you. It'll go automatically into your wallet, so we don't have to start writing checks and keeping track of it. It just goes right into your wallet, and we set that up, and so he's embedded into our contract now, and so that's what we did, and I trust him, and it's a good way for us to do what you're doing. You're taking a portion of your I
was going to say, you guys have a percentage that goes, right?
Yeah, and that's where I got the idea. I looked at your guys going to Malala Fund. I was like, oh, this is really cool. Okay. And again, this was early on, trying to understand NFTs. And said, all right, that's cool. I see how that works. But then I thought, all right, we can do it and, kind of figure out where this should go. And then I thought, oh, this is perfect because we can set this up and not have to worry about sending money anywhere. We can just put it in the contract and let it go. So that's how we got involved.
That's amazing.
I love that on a couple fronts. On an accounts payable front, I wish we were doing that. Yep. I absolutely love that you're embedding it into the contract, and it is going to do so much good. It is such a cool idea. I love that he's building that and that you guys are involved. I also think it's interesting how he's progressively making the DAO more and more decentralized as the votes get handed out to the subsequent people that get the grants. And so it's a really interesting way of doing it. And I think it's going to, enhance the speed of doing good. And so I'm really, really, really impressed by that. I think it's
great. So it comes full circle now. The reason why my wife named her film A Place at the Table was because the people who are experiencing hunger aren't sitting at those tables when people are talking about the solutions to end hunger.
100%.
Very true.
I love that.
Yeah, I really do. I think that is such you guys talk about the utility and everything, but I mean, food feeds the soul, and there's so much community built around good food and restaurants, and it seems like the one thing that I noticed in kind of doing a deep dive on you guys, that both of you are super involved in policy and trying to figure out the inner workings of what's going on in the food industry and what's going on in Washington and the different aspects of that. And you, Tom, you especially. And I thought that was very interesting. And there's really no better way to get at the heart of how to give back, how to create that utility for a community than what you guys have already been doing.
Yeah. And our industry has been really focused on this for a long time. For the 40 years that I've been in the business, we've always shown up for fundraisers, especially around hunger. Either working with Share Our Strength, No Kid Hungry, Meals on Wheels, God's Love We Deliver, Food Bank. We're always there. So our entire industry gives back, and they're so generous. Whether it's just bringing food to an event to dish out, or getting more involved. It's what I love about the industry.
Speaking of the community and getting involved, and I mean, how has the reception of your chef colleagues been to what you guys are doing and building, in the NFT world?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'd say, Tom, what do you say? I think most of them are really curious about what we're doing.
There it is, that curiosity.
Yeah, there's the curiosity. I don't think some of them get it right away. Some have been into crypto, looking, kind of like looking how to use it, like we were. There's a multitude of different learning curves, but overall, I think, people get it. I mean, Tom mentioned it before, like with the pandemic, we were really left to kind of look at our businesses in a different way. We had to quickly convert to using third-party delivery systems that ate up about 30% of our margin. And, that kind of hurts when you're struggling as a restaurant, just trying to make it. And there's labor shortages and all sorts of stuff happening. And on top of it, we're feeding the community during the pandemic. Like Tom mentioned, we were the first to kind of do school meals and feed our healthcare workers. So you put all that in a pandemic, and it's really starts to get frustrating when you look at things. So
you're getting put through the gambit. I mean, completely having to figure out new ways, creative ways. So
you try to reinvent your business. So the idea of Web3 is something that is really interesting on us, and it feels like something that we won't get left behind on if we're at the beginning of the conversation.
Right? Our industry is really slow to change. And there are a lot of people that are curious. We're doing a lot of hand holding, and it's to be expected. But we're also finding people who are knee deep in it already, and who are just definitely eager to dive in. We're little by little. It's gonna listen. I keep saying this, that this is this reminds me of you remember the first cell phone, what it looked like.
Yes.
Yeah. Did anybody expect that maybe 20 years later, 25 years later, whatever it is, that you'd be holding something that has greater computing power than the computers that put the first Apollo mission on the moon?
Yeah. Right. Yeah. No, nobody had an idea.
Built like a room.
Right. Right. I mean, again, looking at Web3, I'll kind of hinted at this. During the pandemic, I started doing this box business where I was doing drops of like 200. And sending boxes, and I would do a little video on Instagram, and people would order boxes, and it would come prepped. Some of it was cooked, some of it wasn't. The video would show people how to cook. Now, think about this. Web 3.0, I have my restaurant in the metaverse, and it looks just like my restaurant does in New York. Okay? And so I can send you a box. With your NFT, you could enter that restaurant, and you're going to go to the video portion of the restaurant where it's going to show you how to cook that, right? And you're going to have your glasses on. You're going to be sitting at home, but literally you're going to be eating that meal in my restaurant.
That is so cool.
We're 5 years away from that. But now think about what this does as a brand extension.
Right?
You could be sitting in Nebraska somewhere, and you really can be in any restaurant. I think this is where we're all going. I mean, think about a website. Again, 20 years ago, you didn't need a website. And then you got these websites that were this sort of picture and some information. And they got more robust and dynamic. Well, think about what a website's going to look like in 3.0. And how dynamic that's going to be. Everyone's going to have that, right? Yeah. It's just going to take some time. And so we're at the very beginning of this. And this is why it's so mind-boggling to think about what 3.0 is going to do. I had my brother the other day, someone sent him an Oculus and he went and watched the Springsteen concert and called me up and goes, "You won't believe this." And he didn't have I didn't really haven't spent a lot of time talking about what I'm doing. And he was like, "This is like Web 3.0." I'm like, "No, you're still in 2.0." No, you're in AR. That's what you're in right now.
Yeah, right. You're in AR, but you're getting closer.
You're getting close. You're getting closer. You're getting closer, but that's what it's going to be. I mean, you're going to put on your glasses. You're going to go to 3.0. You're going to tour my restaurant, and you're going to see the cooks cooking.
Oh,
and
100%.
you can actually eat a meal there. And this is what's happening. And this is what's so exciting for me. I mean, the NFTs. This is like the gateway drug.
Yes.
Oh yeah, totally.
100%.
And what if there could be a way for you to, I don't know exactly, but for you to go and greet tables, so to speak, that are in a completely different part of the country, like an avatar of yourself coming over to a table that, you would never be able to meet them. They would never be able to come to your restaurant and have the time to sit down in person. And there you are greeting them, two people who paid to have the service and blah, 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 just by logging in and setting up your own thing. I mean, it's insane to think about.
It's freaky.
Thought right now the space is taking a lot of your time. Wait till 5 years from now. When we
Oh God.
100%. And I just got to say that, I mean, like I said, early on, as soon as I saw you guys announcing, I saw, it's not even our project, but, Sara and I were really invested. Like, there's so much that you can do. And I just want to say that I think that you two, and also Gary, what he's doing with his restaurant in New York, I think you guys are going to be catalysts for how this business model is changing going forward. And I'm just super, super impressed with you guys. But I know that we have so many people in the community and so many people that are listening that absolutely just love you guys and want to be able to ask some questions. So we want to take a little bit of time to give them that opportunity. And with that, I'm going to go ahead and hand it off to Dane.
Yeah, so guys, if you have questions but you don't feel like coming up and chatting, feel free to post them in our Discord. Jake and Sara are going to be looking through that, and we'll sort of shout out any of the questions that we have in there. If you want to pop up, ask a question, feel free. We want to make sure that we're keeping, trying to find as much utility as we can and give back to all the people in the space. So just make sure you have a pertinent question. And for real, I mean, this is such a good time to be able to talk to these two, and it's such an interesting aspect of the NFT space. So anybody who wants to come up, I'll sort of bring people up one at a time. Feel free to ask your question, and then Tom, Spike, Sara, probably not me, will answer.
Awesome.
Cool. So we got Gabby is connecting. We will see here. Gabby, we got you up.
Hello?
Work that talk box. There we go.
So this is really exciting to me because my best friend is a chef, and so he doesn't know anything about NFTs, I haven't told him much because I try to wait to find the best gateway essentially, and I feel like this community sounds like the best gateway drug to deploy since he's a chef and a foodie. So I was thinking how would you sell this to him, because whatever you're saying now is what I'm gonna tell him. So how would you sell this community to him, who is someone who doesn't have a lot of experience in NFTs but loves the chef industry, loves the food industry? So how would you phrase that? Thank you.
So Tom here. So it's funny, we've been kind of avoiding talking to journalists. But I was doing an interview the other day on MSNBC, and it was taped, and it was about stuff that was going on in the restaurant industry. And then at the very end, he said, "So, I'm a little confused here. I don't even know what an NFT is, but I see you and Spike are working on this project. What are you doing?" And I kind of took a step back and said, "All right, here's think about this. Number one, it started as these art pieces where artists who the only way they could actually, for the most part, sell their work was actually going through the gallery system, where the gallery was taking 50% of your work, and you were never seeing anything in the secondary market. And so now you have artists who can go out there and put their work out there. They can control it. They're getting 100% of their artwork. Maybe they're sharing it with developers or whatever, but that's their choice. And the secondary market, they're getting somewhere between 5 to 10% of the sale in the secondary market. And so it's a real cool time for artists to put their stuff out there, right? Okay. So now we're moving. And so the music industry started to adapt and other people started to adapt. And now you have, the restaurant industry. But during this time, again, the NFTs sort of changed over to having to offer utility. It only wasn't about the piece of art anymore. It was still about the art, but also about creating community and utility. And so forget about the NFT for a second. But if you could go to a space where you had a combination of chefs, people who are in the industry, plus foodies, and you can create a space where people can exchange ideas and talk about really cool things. And the only way to actually make that happen is to buy into this NFT project. Think about it as a pass. Think about it as just you're buying a pass that's going to get you all these cool things food wise. And that's really it. I think trying to talk about the technology and trying to talk about even words like utility. You're like, what's that? No, it's really cool things that you're going to get if you have this pass. Right? It's kind of
awesome,
what we're talking about here, And so, listen, you brought up Gary's project, Gary V and Josh Capon, Josh, great chef. What they're doing is crowdsourcing a restaurant that's a private restaurant. Nothing new. They're just using the NFT to do that. Mm-hmm. And so I think in trying to explain to someone, don't use all the words that we're throwing around here that we all understand, and just kind of keep it basic and just say, hey, this is a place where you can listen, number one, without even talking NFTs. If you tell your friend, go to, number one, Discord. Okay, you got to teach them how to use Discord. Or, hey, Spike and Tom, they do these talks at 12 o'clock, twice a week. Listen in. That's it.
Yeah, lower the barrier to entry as much as you can, and then let them learn when they come in, because everybody's willing to communicate and help you learn.
And if that particular chef, Gabby, likes pizza, then, I mean, it's a no-brainer, right?
No-brainer.
Thank you.
Great question, Gabby. Thanks. I hope your friend joins the community and we start to see her or him. I'm not sure what friend you're referring to. That.
Yeah, absolutely. Hopefully.
Yeah, just make sure they say that Gabby sent me. Just when they join, just say Gabby sent me, and we'll know.
Yeah. All right. Cool. Well, thank you so much, Gabby.
And I do have a question from Discord, real quick, if that's okay.
Do it.
So somebody was just asking. It's from Bundy in Discord. They want to know what y'all's predictions are for NFTs and their impact on the restaurant and food industry.
Ooh. I mean, I think we're talking about it now. I think NFTs and this platform is going to revolutionize a lot of what we do, that as we're seeing right now. But I think everyone needs to eat. Everyone, to a certain degree, needs food in their life. Maybe they love it. Some love it more than others. But I think, it's going to really make us look differently on the way things are controlled. One of the things that are really interesting to me, especially with chefs entering the space, is this idea of the charitable component, right? A lot of time we go to food festivals and we sell tickets on our backs to go to these food festivals, and we really have no trace to see where the funds go and how they get distributed. So I think it's even revolutionize the way chefs enter the space because of what they're into. It could be sustainable agriculture, sustainable seafood, or whatever it is. But I think they're going to be able to use the platform to really highlight what they really care about and what represents their restaurants. So I think it's a very exciting time.
And so the question is, can this democratize the restaurant industry? And when I say restaurant industry, the funding of the restaurant industry. So we all know, number one, it's hard to get funding. You can't go to banks for loans or anything like that. You got to find partners. We also know that women and minorities have a much more difficult time getting funding than, guys like me. Okay. Mm-hmm. Can this democratize that? Meaning, now, obviously, this could run into problems with the SEC, and some smart lawyers have to figure this out. But can you fund a restaurant through NFT where the NFT holders are all partners of the restaurant? Okay. And if you have very again, I think this industry NFT industry are starting to do more and more around supporting women artists. And so can now women and minorities break through in a way where they can get that funding? But again, it's based on an NFT project. You can mint 10,000. They come with a price, but those holders are now partners in that restaurant.
Yeah, they hold direction.
That could be right. That could be cool. We're a little bit away from that, but those are some of the things that can create big change in our industry.
Yeah. Yes, yeah, definitely agree.
I love it. Definitely democratizing access, and I mean, there's just so many possibilities and
so much directional change. Like people really feeling like it's not just a restaurant that's coming up in their community that they didn't really have a say in and weren't expecting, so to speak. It's like you can actually find a way to have everyone involved in the building of the idea and that democratization of the process, like you said. I think that's crazy. I didn't even think about that.
Yeah, I mean, see, the Green Bay Packers are the only professional sports team that are owned by the community.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, so it can be done.
Yeah. And it's not. It's also. I don't. We're talking a lot about restaurants because we're chefs, so that's kind of where we go. But even look at the way we could look at this as distribution or vineyards, wines, or even CPG business. I think it's endless. It doesn't start and stop with restaurants and chefs. I think every facet of the food and beverage industry will somehow adapt this. So.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. And thank you so much to our friend in the Discord for such an excellent question. Dan, I know you've been sitting there on the speaker stage patiently waiting. So go ahead and ask your question, my friend.
Hi, thanks, guys. Just want to say I am dealing with COVID right now, so I apologize if I do get scratchy. Also, I'm kind of new to this space. I was in the space earlier. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Sorry. It's all good. And I've been a chef, a restaurateur, and I just want to say that this space and this community, I think it's a wonderful thing. That's what I wanted my restaurant to be, and it never actually hit that point. I wanted it to be a community-driven, chef-driven restaurant where other people, we had chef nights where we'd throw down just like we would. Our mini Top Chef in the restaurant, and awesome. we would do that, but it kind of as restaurateurs, you always have things working against you, and just the way the city was developing, it just never played out. And I think this kind of community, I think it's really going to be great for it. I think you take a lot of things out of it, and you take the just as going into a competition in your city, trying to make a name for yourself. I've done everything grassroots. I raised money for my restaurant in Kickstarter. Started it with personal loans and personal investments, and so just starting like this, I think it's great. You can't compete with someone who has that kind of inherent popularity in town. They're always going to win out over you, just unless you really come hard. But generally, there's always that inherent bias. And I think this takes it away, and I really appreciate that, and I really like it. And I think this is a great way to move the industry forward. One of my questions is, do you think it's reasonable for someone to do something like you were saying about Tom? You were talking about being able to tour your restaurant. Do you think it's tangible to start a restaurant in the metaverse without actually having the physical restaurant? Like, you think you can get traction just by starting in this world and not actually having the physical?
Keep my metaverse. We're a good 3 to 5 years away from an actual metaverse.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It's hard. I don't know.
We could be closer than we think, though, because I mean, if you look at cloud kitchens and virtual restaurant and what Mr. Beast Burger has done, I mean,
but that's not metaverse. He's talking again.
No,
metaverse.
No. Yeah, but using maybe a metaverse platform and cloud kitchen together, like to distribute, I guess.
Yeah, that and like everything, NFTs, all the things that we've been talking about, kind of encompass everything into this space, and be able to kind of deliver the things that like you were saying, to deliver to people that wouldn't necessarily be able to appreciate this.
Yeah, I think down the road. But I think it's going to be hard to do that without a brick and mortar. Mm-hmm. And think about it this way. So, a lot of big brands, they no longer feel they have to have a store on Madison Avenue anymore, or in big shopping districts, because they can do a lot online. And so why pay some ridiculous rent where you lose money just to be there. And so, but I still think you need to have some sort of brick and mortar presence, because that's what kind of, it's going to take a long time for people to adapt. It's not going to happen overnight.
Sure.
And so you need to figure out a way to be in business now, stay in business now, and get ready for that.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, if you're going to do stuff, if you're going to, mint a project specific to your restaurant, figure out, and it doesn't have to be a huge project either, and how many can you get away with? 1,000? And if it has some kind of utility for your restaurant, where those people that have that NFT can get a special dish that nobody else can get, or you do a special tasting menu every Tuesday, and the only way to get it is if you have this NFT. So you're pre-funding, this part of your restaurant in a way. And so that could work, and that's more in real life, which is more applicable now than thinking the fantasy version of what I meant talked about a while ago.
Yeah, and I mean, I completely agree with what Tom said there. I think there's like low-hanging fruit on how you can, there's the big idea, and then there's the way to get there, right? And the idea of even having like an LTO, like for instance, like what Tom just said, say, you mint this tasting menu, right? And you only mint 100 of them, and they're redeemable at your restaurant via reservation. You tell them you have this token. The restaurant's ready for you when you come in. That's like a low hanging fruit of the mechanics of the big idea you're talking about. But yeah, we're probably a long way away from that right now. So,
man, that was a really good question.
I just have one more Discord. It's not a question, kind of more of a compliment to throw in. This one's from Damage Control Customs, and they are saying that they are just amazed at all the cool ideas that people are introducing with NFTs. Before this spaces, they could have never could have crossed their mind to find the cross section of how NFTs would interject with the food industry. And I must say, I totally agree. Coming from my lack of experience with the food industry, now speaking with you guys and listening to everything that you've had to say, it's now opened my mind up to all the infinite possibilities that the food industry can have with NFTs.
Yeah, I've been in the food industry, and for years and years I was a server, and I didn't think of it. And it literally, like you said, as soon as you kind of hear them start talking about it, you're like, wow. And then it makes you think about all the other things you're not considering as like perfect partners for this space. So I know, OCD, we've had you waiting a little bit. If you want to go ahead and pop in and ask your question.
Yeah, thanks for having me up.
Absolutely.
The Cheffy guys, appreciate everything that you guys are doing and pushing.
Wait. OCD, are you the same person who won our pizza contest?
Yes, sir.
Awesome.
Yes, sir. Yes,
Tom, it was his son. It was his son.
Well, yes, it's a combo.
My son Ariel and my daughter Mia both helped me, but yes, that was us.
Awesome.
So I wanted to touch real quick. I do think that the cloud kitchens could have a huge impact on what you guys were previously talking about, but I wanted to shift gears for a little bit and talk about how we can get more chefs and people from the industry into this project, because as you guys know, they're so busy either behind a screen or on the line. What are the plans to get this to more industry focused people?
Yeah. I love that question, and thank you. And by the way, congrats. The pizzas, for those who hadn't seen them, the pizzas looked absolutely amazing.
Congratulations. That's awesome.
Yeah. The first ever Top Chefty competition. You took it. So, I think, your question leans into everything that Tom and I are starting to learn that we want to do with the Chefty platform, right? We want to be the ones to provide that community, provide that comfort zone for other chefs to be early adopters into the NFT space. We want to do one-on-ones with specific chefs, like Nick, who he's not up here, but he's Chefty Pizzas. He's that little pizza avatar. We have about 5 calls a day with different chefs on explaining them what we're doing and how to onboard them. But really, it's about making them feel comfortable in the space, so we can easily point them towards the Discord, where they're always accepted by the community there with open hands. And for instance, Jennifer Carroll, great chef from Philadelphia, was interested in what we were doing, and all it took was her joining the Discord to see the welcoming she had, and now she's on the Discord posting pasta recipes and ravioli recipes and all sorts of things. So for me at least, I think it's just, basically cold calling chefs and explaining the thing. It's kind of there's a little bit of an old schoolness on how to grow a business on what we're doing with the NFT space. You literally have to cold call a chef, have a huge conversation with them, follow up with an email with a bunch of details on how to enter the space, and then like follow up with them that they have everything they need. It's going to be a slow grind, but I think it'll catch fire and start to get, be a lot easier as we see more chefs in the community. So
yeah, so we have the chefs that we have on board right now are Ming Tsai, Andrew Zimmern, Brooke Williamson, Michael Voltaggio, Eric Ajapong, Jen Carroll, Rocco DeSpirito, and there's a bunch of others that we're talking to. But in terms of being busy, every one of these chefs are on Instagram and Twitter, putting their stuff out there. And so it's just really adjusting that and saying, do it on the Discord, do it with Cheffy. And because you're doing it to an audience that is, listen, the audience that I have, they're not all foodies. I mean, a lot of my audience is there for other reasons. And some of them are just, television junkies. But you're really putting your stuff out there to a like-minded crowd. We were talking earlier today, and I forget who it was brought up the idea that all you need is 1,000 super fans to really create brand awareness. You don't need a million kind of fans. So
that resonated with me today too.
I've heard that before, but I heard it before, but it came in very clear today. But it's just really saying, all right, you know what, you're doing all this stuff already. Just do it with Cheffy. Don't you can still do it on your your socials, but think about doing it with us.
Yeah, one of the questions we get back from the chefs a lot are like, what are you guys trying to eliminate the restaurant industry? And we're like, no, not at all. Like the restaurant industry is here to stay. It will always be here to stay. What we're trying to do is telling the time you already spend, like Tom said, on Twitter, on Instagram, in a space, on Facebook, whatever it is, that is being optimized and decentralized. So join the party, right? So that's kind of the answer to that question.
Yeah. You're not dealing with someone's algorithm.
Yeah. That's a really good point. You're not.
That was an excellent question and a fantastic answer. Very valuable. I don't want to take up all of your time. We are limited to 8 o'clock here, CST, but I do want to bring up Lofty Mom for one last question. So Lofty Mom, you've been patiently waiting. Come on up, sister. We love you. So let's hear your question.
What's up, Lofty Mom?
I just had to jump in because I know I came in a little late, but I just wanted to say you guys picked some amazing humans to talk
we
with
agree.
today.
They really are.
So I just had to, speak on that. If you are in the Cheffy Discord, definitely join. I know that they have a lot of great ideas, and being a Latina in the space, for Spike, he has not only bought art from me, but has given me value and just wanting to talk with me. And I feel like anybody who is questioning their intentions in the space, please don't know that they are truly great people. Him and Tom always are hosting rooms, and it's always great conversations. And so I just definitely wanted to speak on that because, before y'all close out the room, I know a lot of people are like, I don't know how this is going to work. And I just had to come up and definitely give them their kudos of being in this space. So, yeah.
Thank you, Lofty.
Lofty, we love you. And yes, Lofty was one of those artists that I was, very, caught my eye. I loved her work. I own 2 of her pieces. One's like a skeleton made up with food pieces and avocados, and I really resonate with it. But so you should go check out her stuff because it's awesome. And also it's been great to, throwing it back to you. We were able to learn a lot from you, and also I enjoyed the time you took aside just to get on a call with me and talk shop a little bit. So, but that's what this community is all about. So we appreciate you.
Yeah, cool. Listen, I guess thanks for having us. One thing first off, I do want to point out, so obviously supporting women projects are so important because, again, always got a raw deal in the art world, and hopefully it's not going to happen in the NFT world. I'm proud to say that the artists that I'm supporting are Olive 47, also Fungi Queendom, Women in Rise and Encryptus, all great, and of course, Women in Weapons, all great projects, all
Thanks,
women-run
Tom.
projects, and just keep doing what you're doing. And there's supporters out there, absolutely love it. And just to I got to plug away here. We are doing a giveaway. If you shoot over to Cheffy Pizza, we're giving away a Cheffy Pizza. The rules are on Twitter and the Discord. And thank you for having us.
Thank you guys so much for coming
so much,
on.
yeah.
And really, I think you've opened up so many minds this evening by coming on as to the infinite possibilities that are to come